Good evening. Hello, Carrie, Deb, Karen, Dana. How are you? Joyce, how's everyone doing? Yes, very stormy. Pouring rain out there. Pretty bad, pretty bad. Hey, Anna, how are you? Just me here. We're still in North Carolina. So I'm home alone. Hey, John McGinnis. Jay, how are you? Hey, Carmen, Laura, how's it going? Fred, halfway to, yeah, Fred, we're more than halfway to the expo. That's for sure. We're about 4 months out from the expo, so it's getting closer. Believe me. I keep looking at that calendar, thinking, "Oofa, it is coming up." Before that, we're going to Gettysburg this coming weekend to the Battlefield Bash. Hey, Christopher, how are you? So I find myself 2 weekends in a row with nothing paranormal. This is very, very strange for me. Although I did go to the Creeper Gallery on Thursday night, I believe it was. Hey, Dorothy. Um, but yeah, hey, Dale. But yeah, no events, nothing this weekend, and I didn't know what to do with myself. This is the first like Saturday that I was just like, what do I do now? My kids were busy; they were doing something else, so I was like, man. So I literally did a lot of catch up work with the expo. A lot of stuff for New Jersey Paranormal that I had to scheduling and all other stuff. Hey, Kathy. And believe it or not, I was working on different like experiments that I want to do at different events and different investigations. Hey, Tina. Because I don't know what to do with myself. I've watched like every show that I want to watch, and I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? Which is strange for me. I mean, we do have an investigation this week. Um, hey, Jason, yeah, we'll be God. That'll be here in days, man. The Battlefield Bash starts on Friday. We're heading out probably 10 o'clock in the morning. Be there by 1:30. But we do have an investigation on. I believe it's Thursday. Hey, Nancy. Tanya and I are going to be going to. Um, I was contacted God, about a month ago now, a municipal building in Clark, New Jersey, which is not far from where we are, 10 minutes maybe. Uh, I was mentioning this before. They have a room in which they keep all their artifacts, like history items. And people had experiences in this one particular room for a while now, and now they finally put security cameras in that room, and they're seeing things in the room, not just orbs, but they're seeing shadows and other things. So they said, "Would you come in and take a look?" And I'm like, "Look, from what you're describing me and to me, anything is worth a look." I tell that to everyone. If hey, Marianne, if you're telling me there's stuff going on and you really think there's something going on, it's always worth a look. You never know. The worst that happens is you go in there and you waste whatever 2 3 hours. But if there is something there, then you know that's different. We're the first people to go in there and actually go into that room and investigate whatever's in there. So that to me is part of the thrill of doing something like that is the what if there is something there, and what if we are the first people to go in there and try to connect with whoever it is and whatever it is. I love that. I love that aspect of the paranormal, just being okay, a lot of people think there may be something around them, but they're never sure. That again goes back to the investigation we did with Robert and Sandra at the factory that we did. Eric, how are you, my friend? Hope you're feeling better. Um, we went in there as the first people going in there to try to communicate with whoever these people were seeing and hearing in that building. They had seen shadow figures, they had heard voices, but no one had ever gone in there and actively tried to communicate with whoever this may have been. Or maybe it was nothing. But there was something, and we were the first to go in there, and it was definitely active. And again, that's always great because not everything is the movies. Not everything is. I just went to see the new Insidious with my kids on Friday, and it was blah, nothing great. But not everything is Hollywood. Not everything is dark. Not everything is evil. Not everything is that kind of quote unquote haunting. Most quote unquote hauntings are just spirits that are around us. You know what I mean? And a lot of them, we talked about this before, a lot of them love the idea, I think, of people who want to openly communicate with them because there isn't anybody doing it. I think it's either too much, not enough, or the right amount. Donna Marion, how are you? So I think, and when you have cases of these big popular mega haunted sites where hundreds of people are going in a week, and I think that could be too much. But, I think when you have these places that, again, have never been investigated, and all of a sudden picture yourself as a spirit. We've talked about this before, and, you're there, you're trying to make your presence known. Your shadow, you're trying to cast a shadow figure, you're moving things, you're saying things every now and then, and yet people are kind of like, oh my God, I'm scared, or I don't know what that is. I'm seeing something. And then all of a sudden people come in and go, hey, we're here to talk to you. Just saw the lightning out behind me. So my Wi-Fi goes wonky, that the storm is here. I went out to my car just before I started here, and there's like this black cloud. You ever see those low-lying clouds? Like this thing was way lower than the others, and it was really, really dark. And I'm like, oh man, I don't need another tornado warning. Been through one of those recently. I want to do that again. But so that's what we're doing Thursday, and I do think we're going to be able to stream it. I'm not 100% positive yet. We should get confirmation tomorrow whether we could stream it or not. They seemed okay with the idea. Last I spoke to them, which was 3 weeks ago, they seemed okay with us coming in and actually streaming the investigation. But sometimes when people talk to people and it goes up the ladder within the township, there's always one guy or two people that say, no, we don't want this. We don't want it advertised. We don't want. So I'll check in tomorrow with them, and if it can be streamed, of course we'll stream it. Hey, Lorraine, how you doing? But that's what I'm looking forward to. Another thing I'm looking forward to, speak of the devil, Donna Marion is on here. I did see, and if you guys haven't seen it yet, I did see it yesterday. Today, actually, I saw Jay, who's watching, posted a picture of a box that Donna has now that I think belonged to a priest. I didn't read the whole thing. But again, it's another one of these items that was used in exorcisms. A lot of flooding, yeah. It was supposed to be used in exorcisms, this one box. And I didn't read all the information yet. I saw they posted a picture of the card and everything. And I already told Chris. I talked to Chris probably an hour ago. And I told her I'm going to go in there without you on this one. I'll probably go in there again Tuesday night. I saw the box. Looks neat. Neat. I'll probably go in there Tuesday night again. I'll check the weather forecast for the week. But that is definitely one that I'll be doing for sure. For sure. Because I won't want to do that with Chris around, because I've seen too many times where the negative stuff really, really, she's ultra sensitive to, and they seem to affect her really, really easy. I've seen that more times than I've cared to have seen it, over the last, I don't know how many years, but she seems to be like an open channel for negative attachment spirits, whatever you want to call them, to, and the funny thing is, when it comes to that stuff, I'm watching the latest Ghost Adventures. I watched it last night, and Everybody knows me, knows I love that show. Love that show. I haven't missed an episode of Ghost Adventures in I don't know how long. They're investigating this oil town, this town where this one guy, he put up all the drills, and it was a booming town at one time, and now it's a quote unquote ghost town. And, you know, lost one that affected Chris was scary. Yeah, definitely. And Ghost Adventures has this kind of pattern. And again, I hate to say it because I love the show, but they they have this pattern of, if they don't capture a lot of documented evidence as far as like spirit box, anything, portal, anything, any kind of equipment that they use, EVPs. If they don't catch a lot of that in an episode, it's a whole lot of, I feel sick, I'm getting possessed, or I'm feeling, whatever. They're arguing with each other, or they want to kill each other. And I'm sitting there watching that, and it's our favorite. Yeah, it's definitely nothing will ever change it being my favorite. Nothing. Because they're just, Billy, I can take or leave, Jay too, but Zach and Aaron just entertain the hell out of me. They entertain the hell out of me. And like I said, they get into this pattern of, most of these shows, and I'm not putting them down. I love the show. But most of these shows, they're there for 4 days. Now, they're not investigating for 4 days. Usually they're filming like, what do they call that? Just regular footage, interviews, footage of the building, all that stuff. They'll film like in one day, and then they investigate the others. But they're there for a good, if I say strictly investigating, I would say they spend, 20 hours in the building. B-roll, thank you. They're investigating for a good 20 hours, I'm sure, over the course of those 4 days. And, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. It's the nature of the beast, so to speak, when you're investigating the paranormal. I had talked to, and the interview's on there, if you guys go look on YouTube on our page. And if you haven't subscribed, you guys will be doing us a favor by subscribing to the New Jersey Paranormal page, the YouTube page, just to get our numbers up. I was talking to Chris Smith from Ghost Asylum, Haunted Towns, and what else were they? I think they did a live show, and that's what we were talking about. We were talking about doing a live show on travel or whatever they were on at the time. And, it's kind of risky to do a live ghost hunt. I mean, we do them because no one's paying us. If nothing happens, nothing happens. You guys are watching. Sorry for wasting an hour or two of your lives, but nothing happened. But for them, it's a production thing. They got to bring the whole crew. They got to fly them out there. And it's not just them. It's cameramen, people with the mics, all that stuff. They got a decent-sized crew. And you're paying for all the flights. You're paying for everything. So for them to travel somewhere and do it live, and you're watching this hour program and nothing happens, it's like, well, that sucks. Maybe I won't watch them next week, or, So, there's no guarantees in any of this. Even, when we do events, it's the same thing. It's like, we're like this. We're hoping everything that's ever happened when we were in those buildings happens for those people that have paid to be there with us. Hey, Rhonda. And, but there's no guarantees of that. We're hoping, we're doing our best to try to make it happen. So anyway, to have that Ghost Adventure episode of them knowing that they were there for those days, and I'm watching it, and I'm, here's Aaron, I feel sick, dude. I feel sick. And I don't know if you guys watch Ghost Adventures, but Zach is like standing by the stairs. He's at the top of the stairs, and he keeps like leaning, like he's going to fall down the stairs. And the guy, the investigator who was there joining them, who had investigated it before, is pulling him back. Like, hey, someone better grab Zach. And I'm just like, eh. Now, having said that, I'm a big proponent of as you guys know, as I've gotten older and I've done this longer, I am a big proponent of how do you feel when you're investigating and you're in different areas and different rooms doing different things. It is important um, to to kind of keep track of that, and I do that when I'm investigating objects. Uh, when I'm at the Creeper Gallery and I switch objects, it's like when I'm in a building and I switch rooms or I go to different areas and different floors. I kind of reset and I take the temperature of the room and the object I'm near when I start. That's the very first thing I do. I handle the object and I see what the initial feeling is there. And then I put the object down. And you see when we're doing this, I sit maybe, I don't know, I'm maybe 3 feet away from the object when the camera's on me. Probably like 3, 4 feet tops. So I'm in the space. I'm in close proximity, and I'm the whole entire time I'm engaging. I'm mentally taking notes of how I'm feeling. And the very interesting thing for the bad ones, not even necessarily the bad ones, for the ones that have the stronger energy and that can make their presence known, not necessarily bad, even the ones that aren't so bad, that maybe um, felt a certain way, because you get that sometimes. And I believe this too. Sometimes I would never call myself an empath. I don't believe I'm an empath. I don't believe I have those kind of sensitive abilities. I do believe that sometimes the energy is so strong for certain spirits that they can make certain people feel either the way they're feeling now or the way they were feeling when they passed, what they were feeling with before they passed. I believe that 100% because I felt it. I know I felt it. And a prime example of this was the Camp Evans event, the very last event we did, July 1st. I hit an area of a hallway where it was like a fist. All of a sudden, my equilibrium, it felt like my blood sugar just completely dropped and on my stomach turned. One specific spot. And it lingered with me until I moved far enough away to where I felt okay. But I got a little nervous every time I went back in that one spot. What do you think about people being touched in their home? I think it happens for sure. Again, depending on what is happening with that, if it's just that you feel every now and then you've been touched, you see something out of the corner of your eye, you know, if it's nothing malicious and you're not afraid, some spirits just want the attention. They want people to know they're there. That's most spirits. Imagine if you were out of your body and yet you existed in an area. Imagine what that must be like to exist with people that you may know because you've been there and you've seen them and you live with them technically, yet they can't see you or they won't acknowledge you. And even though you're doing little things here and there, whatever you can do to make your presence known, a smell, a cold breeze, uh, touching gently, something. And yet, these people aren't saying, hey, is there somebody here? You know, you know, and when people do that, the ones who really think they have someone in their home and it's not malicious and they're not scared, I'll tell them, take a recorder, put it on your whatever, coffee table, whatever, and just ask 10 questions. Who are you? Did you live here? Did you live around here? Are you trying to get my attention? I mean, those type of things. And then listen back to it. See what happens. I mean, again, I put myself in the position of, these people who have passed thinking, what if I was here right now in this room with two other people who I'm seeing all the time, and yet I share space with them and they don't know I'm here? I don't know what that would be like. Were you able to check the burning? No, I wasn't actually, Patricia. By the time I got home, I was um, I was tired. I was sweaty. Um, it had rained on the way back for me, and I had stopped to get something to drink from the Wawa. So it was kind of like in my brain, I turned the page and I just wanted to get home and shower and I wanted to get to sleep. So that's really what I did. I didn't even remember that until you just brought it up, to be honest with you. I got in the shower, put different clothes on, and I was out after watching an episode of Seinfeld. And did you have any more thought on that stick figure? No, no, no. But that's again, I go back to you know, too much of one thing. It's great to take the temperature of the of the room and be mindful of what you're feeling because that is part of interacting with spirit. I believe that 100%. But when you get to the point where you know everywhere you go, you're about to. And the funniest thing Zach did, going back to Ghost Adventures, this was probably a week or two ago. Um, it was so funny. He literally walks outside. I don't know if they were at a hotel or something. I can't remember. It might have been a hotel. He goes outside, and for no reason whatsoever, he starts doing the robot. And he's like, I don't know what made me just do that. And it was just like, and I think for him, he knows what he can edit all of that out. He controls that show 100%. And I think he leaves that in there because he knows it's kind of goofy and he's just doing it. You know what I mean? So he can edit anything he wants out of that show. I was told I have a bad spirit in the house and a lot of oh my god. If that's true, Colleen, then that could be something totally different. Totally different. Uh, but anyway, I watched that episode last night and it just reminded me of um, I like I said diving into the rabbit hole when it comes to the paranormal. Part of that episode was them using those glasses again. And if you don't watch the show, they have these new glasses now. They sensory deprivation, where the glasses themselves you put them on and they have a red pulsating light and they pump white noise into your ears so you can't really hear and see what's around you. You know, the overload of the senses is the red lights in your eyes. I think there's something to that. I don't necessarily think you need to do it that way, but I do think there is something to sensory deprivation and um, closing off the awake mind and becoming more in tune with what's around you because you're closing off your senses so you're not constantly looking around and nervous. You're in the dark. You're just there. And there was a show, one of the funniest shows I've ever seen, paranormal wise. I don't know if anybody ever saw this show. It was called Ghost Bait. I think I saw it. It was called Ghost Bait, and this show, good idea in theory, yet the way they did it was totally ridiculous. And this was probably the network because the networks come up with these goofy ideas. What they would do is now this show didn't have a lot of money. Hey Carmen, they didn't have a big budget for a lot of equipment. The only thing that these guys had as far as equipment, it was a man and a woman, and the woman was a medium. Um, horrible, but it was like John. It was comparable to Pee Wee Herman, like the old Pee Wee Big Adventure movies and stuff like that. So bad that you just laughed because it was so bad it was good in that way. Um, so what they would do is minimal equipment. They had a digital recorder, and the EMF detector they had was the biggest piece of crap that you will ever see on any show anywhere. Why do I say that? Because I had one and I know it doesn't work. Uh, this EMF detector it had a digital readout. It had a couple of buttons on the front of it. It had an antenna like a REM pod, and I don't know what this is about. Okay. And this particular EMF detector was if you held it with your hand. Now, it was designed to be handheld, but if you held it with your hand, it would go off for no reason from time to time. Don't know why. You would have to hold it by the bottom with your two fingers like this in order for it to work properly. And yet, all that lightning behind me. And yet, um, every episode they were holding it like this and it was going off in different areas. And I was like, that's manufactured. There is no real EMF detecting going on here. That it's a piece of sugar device. And they're presenting it as it's legit when I know it. I used it. It's a piece of crap. So, but that was part of that show. They had no budget for equipment. It was the medium felt, the medium, and a piece of junk EMF detector. So, but the one thing that they did that was kind of a different gimmick, if you want to call it that, was the person, let's say, they're in their home, they think there's a spirit there, and they're afraid of the spirit. What they would do as part of their solution for dealing with the spirit and empowering the person living there was they would have you confront the spirit. And the way they would do that, was they would literally set up like a metal chair, like in a room, and they put you in there by yourself, and they had a camera in the room with you, right? And they would take a sack, like a potato sack, and put it over the person's head so that they couldn't see what was around them. They could still hear what was in the room, but they couldn't see anything around them. And they would have them call out the spirits and say, "You're not welcome here. Come and approach me. You're not welcome. I'm not afraid of you." And they would watch from the other room, and they'd have their piece of crap equipment in the room. And then they would, come in and they'd go, "How do you feel?" And the medium would always go, "There's definitely a change in the room. Do you feel it? There's definitely a change in the room." And the person would be like, "I feel better. I confronted. I do feel better. I feel like I could take back my home or whatever." And again, maybe placebo, maybe that crap does work. It may work in a percentage of cases to have someone do that, because it is about empowering and taking back your space, even if there isn't anything really there. It's part of it. Not the way I would do it, but it's part of it. So does it the weather? Yeah, the weather. Sure, the air is charged. If the air is charged, in theory, spirits get more energy from energy around them. So anyway, that show, while it was badly done, the concept, the equipment was crap. There is something to the theory of sensory deprivation. I think it works both ways. There's the potato sack was a big, but again, that was probably the network then. They wanted it to be scary, I think it goes both ways. I think if you could deny yourself of your senses and just be an open vessel where everything that's going on is going on here, your senses don't in any way, shape, or form interfere with any of you using you as a tool. Because let's face it, if we're going along the theory that spirits are energy and that they were people who have now transformed into a different type of energy, yet energy with a consciousness, with memories and feelings, and the only thing they're missing is a body. So let's remove the body. All we have left is this and the energy that we give off that's flowing around inside of us, electronic impulses. So in theory, if we close off all the stuff that makes our brain less focused and less active because it's busy, hearing, seeing, all that's distracting from what's going on, just centered here, which in theory spirits are. Telekinesis, or no, telepathy, that type of thing, where people do believe that mediums, they do communicate with spirits here, not vocally, verbally. So you take away all those senses, and now you're just an open channel, because you're not doing anything but sitting there with lights flashing in your eyes and white noise being pumped in, and you are just a wide open channel for spirits to know, and good and bad may be attracted to that, because again, in theory, your mind's a little more wide open. So if you believe in that third eye, it's wide open when you deny yourself of your senses. And in theory, spirits may be more inclined to approach and interact. In theory, not a bad theory. And I think it goes the other way. I think if you can enhance your hearing and see in a different spectrum, which is why they use full spectrum cameras and night vision, is to change the spectrum in which the human eye can see, because we can only see in one spectrum. So if in theory spirits are energy based or shadows, then night vision full spectrum is going to see that easier, which is why they use that stuff. So if you can enhance the vision that way and increase your hearing, then in theory you would have a better chance of seeing in spirits around you. There was a guy who used to make paranormal equipment. He doesn't do it anymore. He was like cutting edge engineer, and I know not a lot of people like this guy. If you're in the field, you would know his name, because he did screw a lot of people out of money. He would take a bunch of orders and he just stopped sending stuff out. But I ordered stuff from him, and he was never like that with my stuff. But anyway, he did, in theory, from what I hear, rip a lot of people off. But this guy was an engineer, and he was real innovative. And he created at one point, it was super expensive, a helmet that had the night vision, and he had enhanced hearing. It was really cool and really expensive. I mean, really expensive. But this guy was at least trying stuff that was out there. And I wish I had the money back then to buy one, because I'd have it. But I love the idea of that. I mean, again, and it would record as well. So what you were seeing out of the night vision, like a body cam in real time, you could record the audio and the video. Brilliant. Brilliant. I would love to have 10 of them. But anyway, that's kind of what I was thinking as I was watching Ghost Adventures. I didn't read that whole long. I was in Lancaster, PA yesterday, and in an antique shop with friends. I was telling them about NJP and you getting vibes from antiques sometimes. And this 15-year-old kid in the shop overheard me and said, "Oh my God, I love NJP." He said, "Have you met them?" I said, "Yes." Oh, that's cool. That's cool. It's nice to know that people are watching and they know who we are. I mean, the haunted object stuff and the antique shop stuff. We of course, I'm sure people were doing that before, way before us, but there's a lot of that. I see a lot of it on TikTok now. I now see this store that I won't name. That's around these parts. Now having live investigations inside their store of the store and their haunted objects, and I'm just like, we've been doing this now for how many years? We met Donna probably 5-6 years ago, maybe, or more. And we started investigating in the shop and doing the objects, and we investigated the building. And, it took these places this long to kind of figure out, do you think you'll be investigating the exorcism box at the Creeper that they put? Yeah, I was just talking about that. Who was that? Patricia. I'll be probably doing that on Tuesday. Here's something I want to share with you that now that I brought that up, it kind of, a light bulb turned on in my head. The Creeper Gallery, and Donna, I don't know if John was watching anymore. The Creeper Gallery has a basement that is very, very creepy. Creeper Gallery creepy, and I'm not just saying that because it is freaking creepy. You go down there, there's a weird vibe. There were tunnels underneath New Hope at one time, and there's one down there that's sealed off. You could only go in so far. Yeah, there's Donna right there. And we've investigated that basement, and there is bad juju down there. There's weird pictures of little kids like on this one wall. And here's something that I forgot all about literally till right now. when I was setting up and having Jay went down there. When I went down when I was setting up Tuesday and I was having a hard time with my trip wires and going through all that crap, I had everything running while I was doing it just to make sure it was on and it was working. And I forgot all about this till right now. And this is the kind of stuff that freaks me out because there might be a reason for this. Um, I'm setting things up. I'm checking different things, and I had the Ovilus running. And the very first thing it said is, "Do you hear me?" And again, I thought it was somebody around me because I did have the doll set up, the first doll that I did. I had that in place, and I'm like, "I hear you. I'm going to start talking to you in a few minutes." And it asked twice after that, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I'm fine. I'm actually talking to no one. I'm like, I'm trying to get things set up, but I'm going to talk to you in a minute. Just be patient. I'm looking forward to speaking with you." And then it said, "I'm in the basement." And I stopped dead in my tracks. And I was like, and I said out loud because there was nobody there and I wasn't live. And I said out loud, "Hell no, am I going down there by myself. So don't even think about it." And I was like, if you are down there, man, you are staying down there. I don't need whoever that is on top of everything else coming up from under to mess with me, you know? And that building is completely empty, you know? You have to, and Brian, you mentioned that, and that's actually one thing that I'm actually thinking about that now that I'm thinking of, now that I said it and I'm thinking about it, as opposed to doing the objects, which I'm going to do Tuesday, but maybe when we get back from the bash, we're going to the bash this weekend, maybe next Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't think Chris will be up for it. I don't see her going. She may go down there with me. I don't know. But maybe that's the next live that we do. I'm not sure what the Wi-Fi is like down there, but maybe that's the next live we do. I'd go. I think I'm telling you, it is. It's pretty crazy down there. I swear during the race meeting when you heard the notice, I said, "Who is she?" Um, I'm trying to read this. I had a crazy experience when I was 9. Little Falls, NJ. The house was already 200 years old. Location and now incorporation of the town and church. Full vigor apparition. Physically bluish glow. Human form legs up in the middle of the night. Thought it was my father standing. I started saying mom, but yeah, a building that old. Yeah, I wouldn't surprise me if there was something lingering around a building that old in Little Falls. Knife buried in the stone wall. So yeah, that'll be a live that we definitely. Now that I've teased it, we sort of have to do it. And like I said, I'm not sure if Chris has been down there. So Chris has been down there a few times. So I'll see if she's up to doing it. If not, hey man, going down there alone would freak me out. Freak me out. Would that be alive to see for sure? Probably. And what would freak me out most about that is that if you've ever been in the Creeper Gallery in New Hope, um, you know that it's one level. It's sort of, you walk in from that door. There's the gallery with the main store with Donna's artwork all over the place and all of her creations and what kind of thing is it? Madame Clara. Uh, it's right there, and then you have to go towards the back to go into the red room. But if anything were to happen during the course of any investigation, it wouldn't take much for me to be able to get up and go to the gallery first to try to ground myself and then hit the door and go outside if I needed to. I'm there. It's a straight shot. The basement is a completely different animal because in the basement You got to open the door. You got to go down the stairs, and depending on, God forbid, where and when it happened, if I happened to be in a back corner near where that tunnel is, and something were to happen, it would be a scary trek to try to get around there, up the stairs, through the store. So that would freak me out, in the dark, no less. That would kind of freak me out if something happened down there and I was by myself. Not so much in the store, but in the basement. I have a phobia, foundation from the 1700s. I have a phobia of basements, and dark attics, from when I was a kid. You want to talk about like nightmare scenarios for me? Um, when I was a kid, we lived in a duplex, and um, for whatever reason, I think it was designed by Stephen King. This place, for whatever reason, the the lights in the attic and the basement, the basement didn't have a switch. The attic did. It was on the wall, and it was one of those turn switches, but it was shorted. It never worked. So you had to go up the stairs and flick the other switch in the attic. And in the basement, you had to go down the steps, walk about, it seemed like 100 feet, but it was probably more like 5 feet, maybe three. And you had to feel in the dark for the pull string. And that's like every horror movie you've ever seen, where they're feeling and they turn on the light and, the thing's in front of them. I hate it. Hate it. Night, Donna. I hated my attic and my basement. I was scared to death of both of them as a kid. And my bedroom was, uh, the bathroom was on one end of the hallway. And then if you went down past the attic door, was in the middle. My bedroom was on the other side of that. So as a little kid, I had to wake up in the middle of the night to pee or whatever. I dreaded having to do that because I was scared to death to go past that attic door. And it always seemed, as a little kid, it's just like the horror movies. When I was a kid, I went to bed. I'd look at that attic door. It was closed. But if, God forbid, I had to wake up to pee in the middle of the night, and I'm peeking out of the room into the hallway, it seemed like that attic door was open that much. And I would, and getting there, and you're relieved because you're relieving yourself, and you're holding it in, but then you knew you had to make the trek back to the other end to get back to the bedroom, and that was a whole nother back. And when it comes to basements, being in a basement with somebody else, no problem, none at all. As long as somebody else is there, if it's Chris or whoever, fine. As long as I have someone there with me. But being alone in a basement in the dark, you want to talk about heightened anxiety, and then if something were to happen to, yeah, that would freak me out. That would freak me out. And I don't freak out much, but basement is I'm more freaked out by basements than I am attics, because it's just, as a kid, that stuff is just ingrained in my brain. I'd have to open my bedroom. I can't live. I couldn't imagine that. Um, me and my mom went home alone downstairs. We hear footsteps. Stuff would disappear all the times. One time, I had a brand new sneaker just disappear, and when we moved out, it was still nowhere to be found. I hear stories like that all the time about um, spirits moving things from place to place and people finding them. One of the most common instances of that I've heard through the years was the Barnard Center. We're going to be there October 21st. It's sold out. We've done lives there before. Um, the Barnard Center, Cynthia and others talk about all the time how their offices are on the top level, the main level when you walk into the Baron, but they also have a downstairs, which is their basement, but it's finished. They have an office down there. They have a room that they use for drawing and stuff. And they'll talk about all the time how they'll look on their desk and they're like, where's that FedEx? Where's that paperwork? Where's that thing I put there, that folder and gone for 2 days, and then they'll find it downstairs in one of the offices or down on a table. So whoever it is moving stuff around there. And I think they do it just to kind of mess with people because they can, and that's the same building where Cynthia, who's a dear friend of mine, I've known her forever, and Cynthia has to be in that building alone a lot, especially like during the fall months where it gets dark early. She doesn't leave till like 6 o'clock. Everybody else goes home and she has to lock the building. And she'll say, there are times where, I'm in the ladies' room and no one's in the building but me. The front door is one of those automatic locks. You can push the thing to get out and it locks behind you and you have to use the key to get back in. She says, I know I'm not the only one in the building. I'm there by myself. I'm in the building, and I don't know if you can hear it or not, but she'll hear on the door. And she's like, now she's not really afraid of what's in there because she's been there so long, but she'll hear knocking on the door. That would make me go a little extra if I was in the bathroom, if it were me, but she's so used to it that she knows that whoever that is just does that, but kind of freaky to deal with stuff like that. We had that pull string for a light in our attic. My living siblings would have me go up there and fold the stair behind me. Tell me Dracula was in my mom's love chest. Yeah, I think, and especially Deb, I don't know where you are in the pecking order there, but being the youngest, like I am, that tends to happen a little more when you're the youngest. Those types of things. I would get shut in the attic. I would get shut in the basement, stuff like that. So when you're the youngest, you tend to have those things happen. But yeah, now that I think about it, I may have to do the Creeper Gallery basement. It's been years since we've done that. Oh, you're the youngest too. Makes sense, Deb. It's been years since we've done that. And I think that'll be an interesting live, even if nothing happens, just being down there. And like I said, when whatever that was said that to me, I really in my head went, you're tempting me to go down there. That's what you're doing. You're tempting me. And everybody knows me. I mean, I'll do it. I'm not 100% like enthused about being in a dark basement, but I'll do it. But I think whatever was there was tempting me, saying, hey, you want to know where I am? Come down here. That's where I am. And I was like, hell no. Hell no. So I'm going to end it a little early tonight. I'm going to watch some TV, get some rest. But I appreciate you guys watching. Again, if you don't mind, just go over to New Jersey Paranormal YouTube and hit the subscribe button. Trying to get our numbers up over there a little bit. We'll see you. Well, I'll see you. Chris isn't back till Thursday. Actually, Thursday night late. So next you'll see Chris will probably be live from the Creeper Gallery. The Battlefield Bash. We'll be doing lives from the Bash all weekend. But I'll be back Tuesday night from the Creeper Gallery, where I will be investigating the Exorcist box for sure. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.